today's video, I'm going to be mainly doing a video about this Stihl MS193T. I'm going to try installing some dogs that I got for this saw on Amazon for, get this, about $7 or $8. I don't know how much the Stihl brand dogs would cost. I know they do make a kit, but for $7 or $8, how can you beat it? Before we talk about this though, I just want to talk about this table for a second. I don't know what it is about this table, but I absolutely love this welding table. Really, it probably is my most prized possession, as strange as that sounds. But this is the first time that I've had this table completely cleaned since I moved in. Spent the other night a couple hours cleaning off all the junk off that, organizing everything in all my bins here, and then I just spent a half hour polishing this table with just an orbital wire wheel. And I don't know, there's just something magical about this table where I can take ideas in my brain, and with a piece of soapstone, I can draft out these ideas, and then with the Stihl I have on the bottom shelf here, I can just make these things come to life. It's just really awesome. If you're a young guy out there and you're into stuff like I am, I totally recommend you scan it through Facebook Marketplace and Craigslist, and just keep your eye out for a good welding table. For me, it's really the pivotal piece of my shop. I did a video a while back kind of comparing my 193T to the 201T, and in that video I kind of noted why I went with the 193T. However, there was one thing that I really liked about the 201T that the 193T does not have from the factory, and that's simply Stihl dogs. The 201T comes with Stihl dogs. The 193 just has these little plastic dogs, but that's not to say that you can't put dogs on here. They do have two little holes right here, so they do make a kit. I don't know if Stihl in particular makes a kit. They probably do. It's probably pretty expensive. But I went on Amazon, and for literally $7 or $8, you can buy a dog kit for your 193. So that's what today's video is going to be about. Let's open up this kit. Let's mount these dogs on here. All right, so what do you actually get with this kit? Well, it's pretty straightforward. You get two Stihl dogs, which these two pieces are completely identical. And you get 4 mounting screws, which these mounting screws have a T27 Torx head. So you are going to need a T27. The chainsaw tool that comes with this saw does not have a T27, so just make sure if you buy this kit, you are going to need a T27. You're probably asking right now, why does this come with 2 dogs when there's only 1 spot for dogs on this saw? Well, this kit covers quite a wide range of saws. And I'd imagine on some of the saws, they have dogs on either side of the bar, which this saw in particular only has a dog on the engine side of the bar, so we only need 1 of these. So it's nice to know that I do have a backup dog if I ever go through this, which I seriously doubt that. This will probably outlast the saw. So there are no instructions with this kit, but rest assured this is a very simple installation. This dog can only go on here one way, which that's facing up. If you try to flip it around and put it on the opposite way, it won't work. So have these spikes facing up, and then just simply take your 2 T27 screws and simply screw them into the housing. I'm a little bit nervous to do this because I did read one horror story in which somebody threaded these screws into their housing and they ended up cracking their housing. So I'm going to go nice and slow. I'm not going to do this with any power tools. I'm going to do this all by hand and hoping for the best. So I'm trying to do this very carefully, and I'm doing this like I would thread a tap in. So when you're tapping a hole, what you want to do, you want to turn the tap into the hole a bit until it gets tight, and then you want to back it off a half turn, and then go forward like a full turn, and then go back another half turn, then go forward again, another full turn. Just carefully work it in there. If you go in here and you just try and throw your impact gun on this, or you try and just really crank it down with a screwdriver without backing it out, I think that's really when you have the highest chance of cracking your case, cracking your plastic. Which so far everything's working out well for me, just you gotta go slow. All right, so my initial impressions after doing this modification, I'm loving it so far. I think this really transforms the saw. Installation, really straightforward, really easy, but I want to stress the importance of following my instructions on installing those screws. If you follow my instructions, you'll be fine. Just don't grab an impact driver and try and drive these things in here because the holes are very tight and you want to do this by hand. Again, follow my instructions. And yeah, I really don't think you can go wrong with this kit. A couple other things I want to note upon. Why do you want to install a dog kit? Well, let me try and explain this. So when you're cutting through something maybe 8 to 10 inches, if you have plastic dogs, what happens? Normally you try and dig your dogs into the wood and then you push the saw forward and it pivots off those dogs and it makes it easier on your wrists and body because you're using mechanical advantage. You're using this pivot point to push the saw forward. The problem with plastic dogs is they don't really bite in the wood. So what happens when you go to push the saw forward, those dogs don't really bite and the saw kind of lifts up. So now you're using your forearm and it takes a lot more energy to control the saw and really get it to go through the wood. But now by having these dogs on the bottom down here, sharp dogs, when I dig into the wood, that's sticking in the wood. And ultimately, as the user, it's gonna require a lot less energy now to go through thicker wood. Of course, I can't stress enough, this is not a firewood saw. You know, it has a very specific purpose, but by adding these dogs, it just makes it a more versatile saw, and again, it's easier on the user. A few other quick thoughts. By adding these dogs, you've now made it quite a bit easier for you to overwork the saw. So I also just want to point out that you want to let your saw kind of cut at its own pace. Don't force the saw too much through the wood. You know, you'll hear the engine bog down. Just, if you want to kill your saw, by all means, but I'm just warning you, you know, try not to overwork your saw. And finally, the last thing that I want to note upon is one of the other advantages of installing Stihl dogs on an otherwise plastic case saw is when this saw comes in contact with logs now, the first thing it's going to come in contact with is the steel teeth as opposed to the plastic case, of course, if you're bringing the wood all the way back here. And that just protects the saw. You know, that was one of the things that turned me off with the 193 is everything's plastic. This is not a magnesium case. So by installing these Stihl dogs, you've added a layer of protection to kind of protect your plastic case, protect the wood from possibly coming in contact with your plastic fuel tank and bar oil tank. So those are my final thoughts. But yeah, I can't wait to go outside and put this thing to the test. I'm not even going to make a video about it, but I know there's going to be a pretty significant difference, especially for going through anything larger than 4 inches. So that's pretty much it for this video. If you are interested in purchasing your own set of dogs, I will leave a link in the description below where I purchased this exact kit. Again, it's really cheap. It's a great little modification to do to your saw. It's under $10 and it fits many Stihl brand saws. If you go through that link, it'll list all the other saws that this dog kit will fit. So that's it for today. Thanks for watching and I will catch you on the next one.